get so much power, feel so emboldened that they think they can undermine a duly elected president of the United States and just take over. Plus, after this week's left-wing assassination attempt on Republican lawmakers, the left's come together kumbaya moment, like I said last night, is nothing more than an illusion. It is a farce to hide the left's true intentions. We will expose all of this hypocrisy in tonight's very important opening monologue. All right, so the unelected fourth branch of government is now being aided and abetted by the Destroy Trump media, all in a massive effort to damage and destroy President Trump. Now, this week alone, we have seen unprecedented and potentially criminal leaks from the deep state to the liberal Washington Post. Now, the liberal smear machine is masquerading as a news outlet in their reporting, citing, of course, once again, anonymous sources that the special counsel is now investigating the president for possible obstruction of justice and that Robert Mueller is also looking into Jared Kushner's finances and business dealings. Okay, how is it possible that they dare to leak information almost every single day without any fear of consequences? And by the way, they're wrong so often. President Trump responding to that report today, tweeting, quote, "I am being investigated for firing the FBI director by the man who told me to fire the FBI director." That's a witch hunt. Now, the president, of course, is referring to the Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein, who, in a two-page memo, laid out the strongest case on why Comey needed to be fired. Now, Rosenstein, now he wants an investigation by the special counsel to investigate why the president fired Comey and whether or not this was the right thing to do. This is insanity. And by the way, the special counsel now has 13 attorneys, and on top of that, including Hillary Clinton's attorney and multiple attorneys that donated to both Obama and Hillary Clinton. Now, predictably, the Destroy Trump media, they're jumping all over this. They are, of course, hoping that it will lead to President Trump's downfall. Let me remind you, the Washington Post, ABC News, the New York Times, CNN, NBC, they have all gotten it wrong on this issue. They all, at this point, with the American public, should have zero credibility. So we have to take these latest so-called smoking gun reports, come out late night, every night, with a grain of salt. Last night, the Deputy Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein, he issued this statement about trusting these stories about the, quote, coming out of the fake news media. He said this, he said, Americans should exercise caution before accepting as true any stories attributed to, quote, anonymous officials, particularly when they do not identify the country, let alone the branch or the agency of government with which the alleged sources supposedly are affiliated. Americans should be skeptical about anonymous allegations. Now, the Department of Justice has a long-established policy to neither confirm nor deny such allegations. You know what? I don't trust any of them at this point. On top of that, James Comey, remember, he testified last week, the media has been so dead wrong when it comes to stories about Russia. And by the way, while all of that is alarming, it proves everything we have been saying on this program. This deep state, this fourth branch of government, as we're calling it, doesn't care about getting the truth to you, the American people. And of course, the media, they're the willing accomplices. Their goal is the exact opposite here. They are selectively leaking information, intelligence information, that is meant to damage, in this case, the President of the United States of America, which is exactly what we have been seeing now almost on a nightly basis. Here's a perfect example. James Comey told President Trump he wasn't under investigation. Somehow, that's the only one thing that never got leaked to the press. Why? The reason should be obvious. And what's worse is the growing targets for the deep state. They've been successful in totally slowing down the president's agenda, Congress's agenda. Now, so far, they haven't been able to stop him, which means the deep state is now going after anyone who's even close to the president, including his family and White House advisors. And by the way, even people in the media. The deep state now plans to create as much collateral damage as possible, targeting everyone and everyone from the president straight on down. So what we're seeing now is this unelected fourth branch of government looking for retribution, overturning a duly elected election. And by the way, they're not going to stop until this president is either stopped or thrown out of office. Here's the problem. Whoever is leaking this information to the media, they need to be arrested They need to be prosecuted. Every one of them needs to be put in jail. Why hasn't every Obama holdover been fired? Why have the leakers, not been discovered and arrested at this point? Now, these people have now become a clear and present danger to this country and to you and the things that you care about deeply. Now, because these people now have, of course, done this to the country, well, that raises a lot of questions. Of course, now we have the left and their vicious and vile daily hatred that is now tearing this country apart and creating a climate where what we saw last week is now, in some ways, even encouraged by some. Now, last night's so-called show of unity, remember, I'm not falling for it, the kumbaya moment at the congressional baseball game, it was nothing more than an illusion. Now, this week's left-wing assassination attempt on these Republican lawmakers is the culmination of endless, vitriolic rage, animus, hatred towards the president and Republicans. I'm not saying anybody but this individual is responsible, but this atmosphere is so unhealthy. And those that are unhealthy, are they susceptible to potential influence of daily lies, misinformation, conspiracy theories? Remember this stunning video from this week.
Do we know where he's at? Do we know where he's at?
Now, after everything that we have seen, can anyone say that they're surprised that a left-wing lunatic went on a shooting rampage? For example, just this week, an opening night performance, Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, New York City, of course, featured a Donald Trump lookalike getting what? Savagely murdered. Then, of course, this most graphic example that we always warn you about before putting it up on the screen. Kathy Griffin, CNN host, posing like an ISIS fighter with a fake and bloody and severed head of President Trump. And that's just a few examples of this left-wing vitriol. Remember back in January, Madonna literally threatening, fantasizing about blowing up the White House. Remember this?
Yes, I'm angry. Yes, I am outraged. Yes, I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
Thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House. Now, leftists, Hollywood liberals, they aren't alone in viciously attacking the president. Then you got the Destroy Trump media. Now, for months, 11 months almost, they have done the exact same thing, if not a lot worse. Take a look at what so-called news looks like. It's real fake news, though. Take a look.
I understand where you were coming from. I understand why you liked him. But this man is lying to you.
Trump's critics, those who are worried about this president and this White House, saw a live special television event brought to you by narcissism, thin skin, chaos, and deeply personal grievances.
This was a white lash. This was a white lash against a changing country. It was a white lash against a black president. In part. And that's the part where the pain comes.
When he said today, America first, it was not just the racial, I should say racial, the Hitlerian background to it.
This is a very sad night for the country. You can't polish this turd.
When he called you fake news, what if you had called him a fake president?
He's there with his wife. He's there with his whole family. As I say, like the Romanovs. He's got Jared, who might be a part of this story, like hint, hint. And he's got his daughter Ivanka. It's like a traveling royal Romanov family.
You can't defend what the President of the United States just said. If he took a dump on his desk, you would defend it.
And now we're supposed to believe all these media folks and Democrats are preaching unity, but yet they have done nothing but smear, slander, besmirch this president for months. In case you forgot, take a look.
This executive order was mean-spirited and un-American.
Republican leaders and President Trump don't give a about the people they were trying to hurt.
I will fight every day until he is impeached. Impeach 45. Impeach 45.
This is a bunch of scumbags. That's what they are.
Those are very strong words,
organized around making money.
We've seen nothing
that we can work, that I can work with President Bush on. And I'm trying really hard to find something positive. This morning he had 3 tweets. I was thinking he was more of a creature that stalked the night, that these things just came out at night like a vampire, and that he tweeted these things, but now it's spread to the morning.
And after Wednesday's left-wing assassination attempt, the Huffington Post, they had to take down an article calling for the president's execution. Take a look at the headline we showed you last night. Impeachment is no longer enough. Donald Trump must face justice. And here's the subheadline. Impeachment, removal from office are only the first steps for America to be redeemed. Donald Trump must be prosecuted for treason and, if convicted in a court of law, executed. Beyond disturbing. But there are plenty of other examples. Earlier this week, liberal Hollywood actor, left-wing activist Mark Ruffalo, he called on his followers to sign a petition that demands NBC News stop hiring conservatives for on-air positions, white conservatives. We've also seen people like Robert De Niro and Mickey Rourke and Marilyn Manson advocating for violence against this president. And outside of Hollywood, then of course you have groups like Black Lives Matter. What do we want? Dead cops. When do we want them? Now. Pigs in a blanket. Fry them like bacon. Hillary Clinton supported that group. President Obama met with them in the White House. They've been spewing hate for years. And by the way, where was their criticism of Kathy Griffith and our ISIS pose? Take a look at Black Lives Matter.
Pigs in a blanket! Fry like bacon! Pigs in a blanket! Fry like bacon! Pigs in a blanket! Fry like bacon!
Also, we have all seen the out-of-control anger and rage that is springing up all over college campuses where, showing you video. Berkeley, California, early this year, protesters starting a riot. Why? Because a conservative was going to speak at the university, the home of the free speech movement? Now, while all these examples of hatred are shocking and alarming, they're not new. Now, the roots of the left's rage go back decades, if not further. In fact, it is part of the movement's DNA. Groups like the May Day labor movement, the Weather Underground, remember them? Led by Barack Obama's pals, Bill Ayers and Bernardine Dohrn, the Occupy Wall Street movement, all started with subscribe to radical left-wing hate-filled ideology, advocating for using violence to their advantage in their political objectives. So while the Democrats and the left are putting their hate on pause for 24 hours last night, not even 24 hours, you can bet they're only getting started when it comes to the president, conservatives, Republicans in this country. Here with reaction, the author of the brand new book, Understanding Trump. It's on Amazon.com, bookstores everywhere. Former Speaker of the House, Fox News contributor Newt Gingrich. Look, there's been a long history. All right, we can argue, okay, we're not dueling in this country. And we went through the 60s in this period of horrible assassinations from Martin Luther King Jr. and Robert F. Kennedy, Malcolm X, Kent State, and all these other cases. But in my lifetime, there's never been anything like this. They will not accept this president as duly elected. And I don't think it stops at all. Your thoughts?
Well, first of all, what you just did was pretty overpowering. That is a lot of material, and it's a lot of vivid proof where people are looking at the actual film. It's not, you're not making anything up. You're sharing with them the film. So I do think that at a minimum, this resembles the late 60s, early 70s, the anti-Vietnam War period, the counterculture, the free speech movement, all those things that came together to create turmoil in that period. I think this is different. I think the frenzy on the left is deeper and more rabid than it was. I think that their strength in Hollywood and the newsroom and on campuses is bigger than it was. So it's a real fight. But I was thinking at the very beginning, when you were describing the Washington Post story, it may be that the Deputy Attorney General now has a new assignment, which is to create a special counsel to look into leaks from the special counsel. It's illegal
that sounds?
To be leaking. Well, I'm just saying, if you look, I don't understand what Rosenstein's memo was supposed to tell us. Is he saying that the Washington Post lied, that that's not true, and if so, how does he know it? Does he say, well, they might be true, but don't pay attention to them? I didn't find his memo particularly enlightening. The Washington Post, once again, has an unnamed source who makes a series of allegations which may be true. It doesn't help us any to have page one make an allegation and then the bureaucrats at Justice piously explain that they can't tell you whether or not what was probably a leak from one of them is true. And I think if he's serious about stopping leaks, maybe not this first round, but by the time we have 3 or 4 leaks, which we will get from the special counsel's office,
I think
he's going to be forced to create a new he's going to be forced to create a new special counsel to look into the special counsel's office.
But think of what the president tweeted out today. I'm being investigated for firing the FBI director by the man who told me to fire the FBI director in great specificity and detail in a strongly worded, two and a half page statement. That's insanity to me.
Look, I don't blame Trump for being, well, it is insanity, and I don't blame Trump for being frustrated, although I think he'd be better off to shift gears and go to a much more positive series of tweets, because they're doing so many good things nobody's learning about, because the left is effectively getting them sucked into this fight where all they talk about all day, every day is junk. And despite all that, by the way, Trump is still today was at 41% approval, despite an unending barrage of 6 months
by the way, one poll
of
at
lies
50,
and smears and innuendo. That's right.
Yeah.
But my point is,
what do you make of
the president
this assassination attempt targeting Republicans this week?
Well, I think you said it right. First of all, when you have an individual act like that, it's the responsibility of the individual. He was guilty. And I think that we should focus on him. The background noise effect is scary. The number of people willing to, it goes all the way back to your showing Madonna. I had forgotten. I thought she said she dreamed of bombing the White House. She actually talks about, I think, how she thought about blowing up the White House, which normally, by the way, would be considered a crime. We were very strict about protecting the presidency, no matter who you are. Imagine in 2010 with the Tea Party movement, if a Tea Party movement person had talked about blowing up the White House with Barack Obama in it, I mean, the national media would have gone crazy.
We got to take a break. There's one metric out, over 12,000 times at least on Twitter, talking about assassinating our president. All right, we'll have much more with the former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich, right after the break and later tonight.
What would change the world is if, Russia was interfering in the election, and they weren't doing it on their own, and he was in on it, All
right, so after months and months and months, breathlessly, endlessly pushing black helicopter tinfoil hat conspiracy theories, yes, the queen of propaganda media, Rachel Maddow, now saying it's actually possible the Trump campaign did not collude with Russia. Welcome on board. Michelle Malcolm will have reaction on this busy, breaking Friday news night tonight on Hannity. And welcome back to Hannity as we continue with the former Speaker of the House. Newt Gingrich is with us, Mr. Speaker. All right, so now you're the president. I want to go through this list. Loretta Lynch meets on the tarmac with Bill Clinton. Loretta Lynch then tells James Comey, let's not call it an investigation, it's only a little matter. Then Sarah Carter and John Solomon come out with a blockbuster report that Comey confronts Lynch that she was never planning, under any circumstances, to indict Hillary, no matter what the evidence said. Where's the investigation into her?
Well, what's amazing to me about the Republican passivity here is that Senator Feinstein, the ranking Democrat in the Intelligence Committee, said last week after Comey's testimony, we really have to look into exactly what was going on with Loretta Lynch and with President Obama. Now, I was waiting for one of the two intelligence chairmen in the House and Senate to get up and say they're opening a new investigation into exactly what Loretta Lynch said to Comey, what they put in writing, whether or not she in fact had briefed President Obama. I mean, I don't understand the Republicans allowing the left to define what these investigations are about, particularly when you have Senator Feinstein, the ranking Democrat, very respected senior Democrat from California, who is saying, look, this is so weird, we have to look into it. Fine, let's look into it.
All right, let me ask this. So you got Rosenstein, who we talked about earlier, recommends the firing of Comey. Now we're going to investigate the obstruction because the president fired Comey on their recommendation. Then you got Mueller. Let's see, he's hiring Hillary Clinton's attorney on the Clinton Foundation to deny Freedom of Information Act requests. Then you got all these other people. He's got 13 high-powered attorneys. One guy, I think, argued before the Supreme Court 100 times. And so many of them donated to Clinton and Obama. Now, why do I think the deck is stacked? Should Mueller, should Rosenstein recuse themselves? To me, absolutely yes. And especially all of their connections to Comey, who leaked to get the special counsel.
Well, first of all, under the Justice Department's own rules, Mueller has a legal obligation to recuse himself from anything involving Comey, which also makes you wonder, why would they have picked a guy who's Comey's close friend to investigate a situation which inevitably involves Comey? And this whole thing stinks. But in addition, I think you've got to look at this and recognize, and I said this to several audiences today, I said, look, they're going to get somebody. I don't think they'll get the president, but they're going to get somebody, and they're going to get him for
Always
something.
do.
And they're probably going to go to jail because there are too many lawyers who are high-powered to go home without a scalp. This is like watching in the old-fashioned Western movies. This is an Indian hunting party. They're out looking for a couple scalps.
There's got to be a Scooter Libby.
And they're not going to go home till they get some. That's right.
Let me ask you this.
And my advice has been, by the way, be very careful.
Yeah. Why hasn't the president gotten rid of, and I talked to people at the White House just this week, a number of people confirmed, there are a ton of Obama holdovers. These people, we haven't gotten to the leakers. We haven't gotten to those people that do this day in and out and day out. Why not?
Well, let me say, even though I wrote a book called Understanding Trump, I don't understand. This is so obvious.
I don't mean to laugh. That's sad.
I'm serious. What? No, but think about it. I mean, this is so obvious. You assign one person, you give them the list, and they don't get to go home until they finish firing all of them. It's not that heavy. I mean, it's hard. You have to work through all of it, et cetera. But this has been a puzzle all through the government. The number of bad decisions being made in the departments, because you still have Obama holdovers making them, is really very discouraging. I mean, the president's done a lot of great things at a very big level, but all this underlying
has to be
stuff,
a priority.
they are not very good at cleaning it up.
All right.
That's right.
Mr. Speaker,
absolutely.
You have your new book out. It's on Amazon.com. Go to, I think it's newtgingrich.org for your travel schedule. You're giving speeches and signing books, and it's on Amazon. It's Gingrich Productions. All right, thank you, sir. And up next on this busy breaking news night, this Friday night.
Just last week, Reuters reported on 18 new, previously undisclosed contacts between the Trump campaign and Russian government officials.
The biggest tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist in the country, the biggest of all, Rachel Maddow, now backtracking on pushing the Trump-Russia collusion lie, which he's been doing for months and months. Now you won't believe what she's saying. We'll tell you about that. We'll explain, get reaction, Michelle Malkin, and later tonight, Matt Schlatt, Michael Myers weighing in on the deep state, trying to take down the president. Also, Pat Buchanan on the long history of leftist hatred and violence as we continue.
Live from America's News headquarters, I'm Patty Ann Brown. 7 American crew members are reported missing after a collision between a U.S. Navy destroyer and a cargo ship off the coast of Japan. The USS Fitzgerald was struck in its side by the container ship about 56 nautical miles south of Yokosuka, Japan. The Fitzgerald's commanding officer and another crew member were airlifted to the U.S. Naval Hospital. There's flooding in several parts of the destroyer. The ship suffered damage on her starboard side, above and below the waterline. And the man who reunited East and West Germany after the Cold War has died. Helmut Kohl served as Germany's chancellor from 1982 to 98. He's being remembered tonight as a true statesman. Former President Bill Clinton says Kohl's visionary leadership prepared Germany and Europe for the 21st century. Kohl was 87 years old. I'm Patty Ann Brown. Now back to Hannity.
This is a Fox News alert. More breaking news tonight. Fox News has in fact confirmed a report from the Daily Caller that the left-wing gunman who targeted Republicans earlier this week in fact had a list containing GOP congressmen that was found also tonight for months. Yes, the person that has been leading the Destroy Trump tinfoil hat, black helicopter conspiracy theories, Rachel Maddow, would fan the flames of the Trump-Russia collusion narrative. Watch this.
Just last week, Reuters reported on 18 new, previously undisclosed contacts between the Trump campaign and Russian government officials. U.S. investigators, including the FBI,